Well, this morning, jury deliberations continue in Joseph Sharp's capital murder trial. Yesterday, Sharp himself was the final witness to testify. As Bart Bedsole reports, Sharp tried to distance himself from the other suspects and said he had no part in the robbery or the murder. Now to the courts, where the estranged wife of Tony Johnson, the man accused of stabbing his 5-month-old son, speaks out. Here's a look at the facts first. In Johnson's case, he was arrested back in July after police say he stabbed his 5-month-old son Antonio at a family barbecue. Police say Johnson had stopped by to visit the baby at his grandmother's house when the stabbing occurred. Now the baby and his 2 siblings are in CPS custody, while Johnson is in jail charged with assault causing bodily injury to a family member. Prosecutors say they plan to seek more charges against him. His trial is pending. We begin with the latest on 2 separate plane crashes within 24 hours. The Navy and Coast Guard searched this morning for the crew of a Navy T-34 training aircraft. Now, according to the FAA, the trainer went down in the Gulf around 3:30 yesterday afternoon, about 12 miles east of Rockport. About half an hour later, a Coast Guard helicopter, a Falcon jet, and 3 rescue vessels were dispatched to search the beachfront along Matagorda Island. Authorities believe wind and currents pushed the wreckage, if any, in that direction. Civilian pilots also helped out with the search efforts. Our Rashi Vats talked with one of those pilots. He says the group is willing to look at the idea of some kind of third-party ownership. However, he also said they would have to have some sort of absolute assurance that the city won't pull the rug out from under them once they get started. Officials say there was another aviation emergency this week, this time in the area of Copano Bay. Just before 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, a pilot having engine trouble set his plane down in a remote area west of Holiday Beach. President Barack Obama talks with his top military advisors today in the White House Situation Room, and Afghanistan is on the table. As Brian Moore reports, the president has to make the difficult decision on whether or not to commit more troops. Good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us on this Thursday morning. Inching our way towards the weekend, I'm Jay Scherder alongside of me, meteorologist Matt Terhune. As a look at the forecast outside, finally, some good news. Today is going to be the last day of this brutal heat we've seen to be going through. In other news, was it a hate crime? That's what police and Jewish leaders in Los Angeles are asking after a shooting at a synagogue left 2 people hurt. Gina Kim has the latest on the investigation. Now, there were a lot of sticking points that the 2 sides couldn't come to terms on. For example, there was no agreement on who would actually pay for maintenance at the rebuilt Coliseum. The city also wanted to guarantee that the whole project would happen. The ice rink, the movie theater, hotel, and apartments, but Brass would only commit to building pieces of it, not the whole thing. In our consumer news, it appears those Baby Einstein videos may not be as beneficial to your child as once thought. New research shows that the videos could actually cause a delay in a child's development. In the wake of the study, Baby Einstein's parent company, Disney, was threatened with legal action. Disney removed the educational label from the video 3 years ago, but are now offering parents refunds. Toy marketing experts are fighting back, saying one of Baby Einstein's goals is to encourage parents to interact with their children while watching the videos. Firefighters in Spokane, Washington pulled off a successful rescue in a rather bizarre situation yesterday. And the tide keeps pushing up. It's dangerous out here, so it's definitely something to keep in mind. At the top this half hour, 3 people die in a house explosion in Flower Bluff. The blast happened just before 11:30 yesterday morning at a home in the 900 block of Green Bay near Flower Bluff Drive and SPID. Now, police still are not releasing the name of the victims, but 6 News spoke with the victims' relatives late last night. They tell us that Dalitha Baker, her boyfriend Jamie Flanagan, and her daughter Nostalgia Baker are the victims who died in the explosion. Bart Bedsole has the details of the tragedy. There are barriers set up, but as we've seen many times in the past, people can get by those pretty easily. Breaking news at this hour, Corpus Christi police are on the scene of a major accident at the Oso Bay turnaround. Initial reports say a woman missed the turnaround and flipped her car, landing upside down in the water. Now, police say her passenger was able to make it out okay, but the female driver had to be rescued from the car. The driver was taken to the Bay Area Hospital and is said to be in grave condition. I'm live out here on the island at Beach Access Road 3A, where things are getting more dangerous by the second. We'll have a live report coming up.
Hi, this is Sylvia Reese with Bishop Primary School. We're calling to inform you that we will not be having classes on Thursday.
Bishop ISD was taken by storm last night, not by a tornado or hurricane, but by 3 students looking for trouble.
Of course, I was upset, came in right away and was very disappointed in what I saw.
Principal Gonzalez says 2 elementary students and 1 junior high school student tore through the school, breaking glass, ransacking classrooms, and smashing at least 2 computers.
It's just a big mess. They've done, it seems like it's quite a bit of damage. Money-wise, I really can't tell you what we're looking at, but there's a lot of damage technology-wise to this campus.
The vandals broke into the cafeteria where they loaded up on milk and yogurt to splatter on the walls and hallways. The district had just installed security cameras, but the trio tried to get around them by ripping them from the ceilings. The superintendent says their efforts to not get recorded failed.
We were able to get some really good footage of the campus and of students in the building, so we feel pretty confident that we have probably found the students responsible for this vandalism.
As they were trying to break into a soda machine in the faculty room, a teacher who just happened to stop by Wednesday night with her husband to run an errand caught them red-handed. The students claim they found the school in the condition that it was in and had nothing to do with the crime. But that didn't stop police from taking them in. The superintendent says something like this takes a heavy toll on the community.
We have a lot of pride for Bishop CISD. This school system is the heartbeat of this community. So we were devastated when this happened 4 years ago to our high school, and we were even more saddened this evening to see this happen to our primary school.
Jay Scherder, KRAS 6 News.
I actually just changed boots, and for a very good reason. I also took higher ground. The water is really getting high out there. Now, what we saw earlier in the sign behind me, it came up about a foot and a half. Well, now it's coming up to about 3 feet when it hits. I'm going to have Dennis pan over here just a little bit to show you a little area here. Now, right now, it's completely flat. About an hour ago, there was a huge pile of sand about 12 feet long, about 8 feet wide, and about 4 feet tall. The waves have completely taken it out. Just showing you how powerful these waves really are. The current and rip currents are very strong. It's a very dangerous situation, which is why all beaches are closed all throughout Nueces County and up and down the bay.
Some were there to take pictures, others were there to swim, but one way or another, they weren't supposed to be there. That's because city and county beaches were closed due to dangerous conditions created by Hurricane Dolly.
The Parks Department wants us to close this parking lot. I guess they think they're going to keep the surfers out of the water. I don't think that'll work. But anyway, we're going to do what they want and close the parking lot and see what happens next.
What happened next is that people came right back after the police left. Most people were just there to watch, but some were there to surf. And with near tropical storm force winds, the waters weren't exactly calm.
A little bit rough, a little bit intense, but yeah, I mean, it was fun. Had a good time, had a strong current. Took me about half a mile down that way, so.
Fun for some, but potentially dangerous for others. With no lifeguards on duty, the main concern from the Parks and Recreation Department was for the children playing on the beach. But there was no shortage of people willing to take that risk one way or another.
There's guys that are surfing right now. We went to Port A, and there's a lot of people out there also surfing the waves. So, I mean, I think it's their choice, but...
Not very safe?
Not very safe, no.
And with more fierce weather in the forecast, CCPD expects to be called back out here.
So I guess it's on to the last of them.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Jay Scherder, KRAS 6 News.
There he is in cap and gown. That's Eugene Upshaw, Robstown High School class of 1963.
Gene Upshaw was known by many across the United States as a star football player for the Oakland Raiders and the head of the NFL Players Union. But to Sam Keach, a lifetime resident of Robstown, he was a different man.
And it was a Saturday morning, and my wife and I had stopped there, and she went in to get some stuff, and I just was about half asleep in the car, and I felt this big mitt of a hand hit me on the shoulder. He said, "You're still lazy, aren't you, Sam?" I mean, you know, I had no idea if he was in town or not, but I mean, that was just the kind of guy he was.
Keach remembers Gene as a man who took pride in his family, who put them above all else.
He was very proud of his, of his parents. As I told you, his dad was the first black person to serve on the Robstown City Council, served for a long time. And, his mother worked in what now I think is the Meals on Wheels program. Cora, I think if you could talk to him today, he'd tell you his mother's the one that gave him the tenacity to do the things that he did.
It was that strength that led him to 2 Super Bowl titles, but in the end, he couldn't overcome the pancreatic cancer that was just diagnosed days ago.
It rattles me because we're the same age. We're 63 years old, and I had my share of health problems, and Gene Upshaw's not supposed to die before seeing Keach. It's just, for anybody else that's in our class.